Hello and welcome to the Spirit Safe. My name's Rob. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. Now, a lot of you who follow the channel on a regular basis, thank you, will know that recently I was in the UK and I bought a big box of miniatures, 20 to be precise. I've been very busy and thirsty. I've finished them all and I just want to share with you, it's obviously not a review, but the highlights, lowlights, and there were 3 that were so good that I just had to have a bottle by any means, whether it was bought out of province or out of country. So I want to share with you what they are as well. First of all, just a quick housekeeping point. One of the bottles was a Lefroy 10. I didn't drink that one. I'm keeping it back because I want to compare it to a Lefroy quarter count, which is on the way. So instead of the Lefroy 10, paper out of the way. Instead of the Lefroy 10, I bought a blended Scotch miniature called Cookney, and I drank that one instead. So let me tell you first of all the things that I wouldn't buy a full bottle of, or that really left me underwhelmed. We'll go on to a couple of notable mentions and then I'll give you my top 3. First one, the Cookney. I've had good Scotch blends. This is not one of them. It was underwhelming even with a teaspoonful of Ardbeg Ugadal in it, which is what I do to pep up a blend that I don't enjoy. It failed even that test. So the Cookney, even though it's nice and cheap, I probably wouldn't buy that. Okay, other things that were underwhelming. The Glengarry Founders Reserve, I'm afraid. I've got a bottle of the 12 and I'm glad I bought the 12 and not this one. So, you know, it wasn't terrible, but it didn't set my world alight. The Glencairn 21 wasn't a good distillation. It was a bit wasabi. It was slightly hot. No, very, very disappointing. And that was the most expensive one in the box as well. What else left me underwhelmed? Not much really. All of it was pretty good. Out of the Tomin Tools, so I bought 3 and I'll just go on to honourable mentions now. I had a 12, a 14 and a 16-year-old of the Tomin Tool. Out of those it would be the 14 that I would buy. The 16, the woods were a little bit off, a bit sauna, a bit pencil shavings. So for me the 14 Tomin Tool would be the one that I would buy, all in good time. I didn't rush out to buy it. Other honourable mentions, the Edredar Caledonia. It was just the good step up from the 10-year-old Edredar that I reviewed quite a while ago. It was just that right level of better for those 2 extra years maturation. I had 2 Glengoynes. I had the 18 and the 10. The 10 was just a little bit too young. It was still very good, but it was a little too young. The 18 is a bit too expensive for me at the moment when I'm just getting to know Glengoyne. So for me it would be the 12. That would be where I would start out. The 10 wasn't terrible, it was alright, but for me the entry level is the 12. The Bowmore 18, it was good, but it didn't offer enough for the price. It's quite expensive in Canada. So the Bowmore, I would, in fact I have bought a 15-year-old Bowmore Darkest, and I think that offers better value than the 18. I'm not a big fan of Bowmore, so I'm not an expert at it. Another honourable mention goes to the Lechig 10-year-old. This is from the Isle of Mull, from Tobermory. I really enjoyed this. A really nice non-Isla peated malt. It's well priced and I think a bottle will be well on the way to me. Another disappointing one, the Speyburn 10. It was nice on the nose, but the palate, no, I didn't enjoy it. Okay, so we talked about some of the honourable mentions, things I didn't enjoy. Another honourable mention, the Balvenie 12 Doublewood. It was at least as good as I remember it 7 or 8 years ago. So, yep, a Balvenie Doublewood will be on the way to me. let's go on to the three that blew my socks off. First of all, it was the Glencadam 10. Really fruity, wonderful distillation. Shame the 21 wasn't up to the standard. It was just honeydew melon and buttered toast. It was really, really good. I had to have this, so when I was in Ontario on business, I trekked out in the snow and bought the bottle from the LCBO. So a full review of that in the fullness of time. Next up was the Kilchoman Mackay Bay. Absolutely fantastic. So much peat, so much power in a small package, in a small distillery. I quite like this bar on the front which tells you how much is bourbon and how much is sherry. Yeah, I had to have a bottle, so when I was in Ontario I picked this up at the same time as the Glencadam. The final of the three that I had to have was the Balblair 1990 vintage. So at great cost I ordered this from the UK. It was superb, a wonderful balance between dry fruit, spice, absolutely excellent, really, really impressive dram. So I bought this and I will review it again in the fullness of time. So a quick canter through the miniatures that I bought. I encourage everybody to buy miniatures if they're available to them. I've learnt quite a lot, and I think I've made 3 good purchasing decisions. Otherwise my money could have gone to a less efficient place. I could have bought something that I might not have enjoyed. Instead I've bought 3 full bottles of malts that I'm very, very confident about. So miniatures, I like them. Okay, short one this week. What should we have next week? Either a bourbon or a Scotch of my choosing. Fantastic. Thank you very much everybody. Cheers.